Rumbaugh is governor of Pennsylvania. You probably never heard of him, I certainly haven't. And John Kozik is mayor of Wilkes-Barre. And a very significant event with his election happened because he was the first Eastern European to get elected to a public office in Wilkes-Barre. That's a big deal. Because what's happening 100 years ago? We have millions or thousands and thousands of immigrants have come here. And the Slovaks have been here for about 30 years. And it took them that long to elect somebody. And that, his niece, by the way, is still alive. If anyone knows Janet Kosik, who lives up in Brookside. And Wilkes-Barre starts really developing a boom channel coming out of a little depression, and we're going to boom until the Great Depression. By World War I, we were making so much coal that all these beautiful houses you see, well, the people who are living in them are making lots of money. And a gentleman up the street named Ernest Buckman, where Edie Pons is today, was a doctor. And he makes a proposal to build a permanent home for the Luzerne County Medical Society, which, as you can see over here, was founded in 1861. They buy a lot of land here behind the house for $7,000. And they hire an architect named Bryce Hayden Long, who really just graduated from the School of Architecture at the University of Pennsylvania in 1909. So here he is 5 years later for the Great Commission. And he designs Wilkes-Barre's Pantheon. If you know Greek, Pantheon means all the gods. And if anyone has been to Rome, to the original Pantheon, you will see the exact same thing. Classical architecture, though this is designed in a colonial revival style. And I recently just figured out the difference between two terms I've always interchanged called Georgian and colonial. Georgian architecture was a style of architecture that was very prominent with the 4 kings of England. We had 4 Georges in a row. I shouldn't say we had 3. We didn't have the 4th. And that style of architecture in America gets called colonial. And so when you come to the 1880s, 90s, and the teens, when America is having a resurgence of pride in their colonial past, they duplicate the architecture. So they're bringing the 1760s, 70s, 80s architecture up to 1914. And so then you tack the word revival at the end of it. So this is called colonial revival. Probably the most famous colonial revival, actually colonial, Pantheon building in America would be Thomas Jefferson's Rotunda at the University of Virginia. You look at this and you see the exact same thing from behind, not from the front. If you look at the front, and Larry Newman and I were speculating the other day that perhaps there was a greater design for this building that never came to fruition, because if you go to the Pantheon in Rome, or you go to Jefferson's Rotunda, it has on the front of the building a tremendous portico, beautiful pillar columns. And maybe, perhaps, that house was never going to be there for very much longer, and a greenway was going to connect this building. But we don't know, so it's just a little odd. It seems to be truncated off. Bryce, it's a hard name, it's Price with a D. Bryce Hayden Long did a couple other buildings in Wilkes-Barre, and some that you might know to give you a little context. Lyman Howe hired him to design a wonderful house on Riverside Drive, a big, huge, white, Hollywood motion picture, local style house for Lyman Howe. It looks like it should be in Hollywood. It's Tom Perko's house today, if you know that. In 1912. He also then designed another Spanish and Mediterranean revival style house for Guy Moore. That house still exists right at the corner of Pierce and Wyoming Avenue. And if I say the big weeping willow tree that we all hope does not fall, that house that has been hidden for years, that was designed also by Hayden Long for Guy Moore. And his grandson just recently died. I don't know if you hold you know the story of the Moore family, John Moore? I wonder where all that money went. But right, his father, well, Guy Moore was the founder of Luzerne Bank. But I wonder what John Moore, what happened with that. So Hayden Long, the architect, leaves actually Wilkes-Barre. He has an office in the, at that time, brand new Miners Bank building before the word National got attached to it. I always date myself. How many here will call it Miners National Bank? Raise your hand. Right. All right. How many call it United Bank?
Well, I'll do that too.
And still call it United Bank. I don't know what bank is in there. There's no bank in there anymore. It's the apartments.
Right.
So Hayden Long leaves Wilkes-Barre after these really 3 great commissions, moves to Cleveland where he spends the rest of his life, and then he actually comes home and retires, dies here in 1948, and buried at Mount Greenwood in Trucksville. But we're really lucky to have this. There are not that many Pantheon, Colonial Revival, Palladium element buildings around. We should be very proud of it, particularly now that if Pantheon stands for all the gods, now we're open to all the arts. So thank you for coming.